Let me begin with Myron. As you know, was not at practice. He is at home mourning the loss of his father, who unfortunately and tragically passed away suddenly. So he is on the island, and our hearts go out to the entire family and Myron. So he's in our thoughts, obviously. So just in case we had questions regarding his presence or lack thereof at practice. I think that really was all I had. You guys saw Blake Fisher was out with a head injury. He's in our second stage of the concussion protocol. He passed that today, which was his cardio. So he seems to be doing pretty good. So he'll enter the third phase, which is we'll get him back in movement on the field we're off tomorrow, so Saturday. Then we've got some, the variety of camp soft tissue, nothing above a grade 1. Though Thomas was a 1 plus, we did not PRP him. He was on the Alter G today, so he's making really good progress. Expect to get him back into some kind of practice, limited practice, probably early next week, Monday or Tuesday. So I think that was pretty much it. You guys would probably, was that all of them, Katie? Yeah. Okay. So that's really for you, Eric. I wanted to make sure I got that all the way so you could get into some other questions that I know you've been planning for me for quite some time. Open it up to questions.
We'll start with Eric Hansen.
Brian, how close are you to naming your number one quarterback?
Oh, we're really, really close. Really, really, really close.
Like within seconds, or?
No, we're not going to do it here today. But, we have an idea who it's going to be, and we want to talk to the kids probably this weekend. My guess is we'll probably have an announcement for you starting next week.
In regard to the backups, assuming, Buckner and Clark obviously aren't in that mix, do you want to keep them up with the 1s and 2s to learn this year, or do you want them getting experience on the scout team?
Somebody's going to have to go down there and get some reps. So, we'll probably come up with a plan, over the next few days. But again, we have to be able to take care of our team internally as well as, prepare the guys at the same time. So my guess is it'll be a little bit of both.
And
both keep them up, prepare,
right,
and still have the ability to, have a demo and scout team that is well represented.
And I'm not sure if the graphics are ready, but are you ready with your captains?
Yes, but we had some things that we needed to handle internally first, and needed to do that. So we'll have an announcement. I think we're going to make it at 2:00 on Friday. Is that correct? So we'll have a release for you guys on Friday at 2:00.
Tim Priester's up next in the back.
Brian, Tyler Buckner continues to impress with his feet. I mean, would you think it's necessary to have a red zone package for him, or would you just like to stick with your starting quarterback?
I think there's a difference between executing a package that utilizes his skill set versus where he's turning down throws and running haphazardly. So once we get a better feel for that, Tim, I think I'm better prepared to answer that question. We're 6 practices in, right. So I don't know if I can really accurately answer the question. If it was, these are plays that are geared towards a run, read the pass run, and that's what he's doing. Yes, I would say, but we're not there yet. I'm not saying that that's where we're at yet. I think we need a little bit more time. Look, it's pretty clear. He's a dynamic player. right? We have to make sure that that dynamic player is prepared within our offensive structure. And so we're not going to put a dynamic player to the side just because he's young, okay? We want to win, and dynamic players help you win. So we just got to sort this out after 6 practices and figure out what that looks like.
From a skill position standpoint, you look a lot different than you did a year ago at this time. I mean, we saw flashes of that today. Is that what you've been seeing for the last week as well?
Yeah, we're getting better. There's no question that there's a lot more confidence in the building and in the meeting rooms that we're going to be able to play at the level that we were hoping at this time last year, where, we were talking about guys stepping up, and those veteran guys are stepping up. The Keys and Lenzies, and obviously you saw Kevin out there today. There's all the veteran guys that we've asked to take their game to the next level. They all have.
Colsey's got some ball skills too.
Soft hands, learning how to handle the rigors of college football. We're going to be careful with him, but he's got some talent.
You didn't mention Justin Adamil. Is he one of the guys with the soft tissue
Yes,
stuff?
yes. Hamstring. Again, in a 11-on-11 late, doesn't seem to be something that we're very concerned with, but we want to be very careful.
You frequently mention J.D. Bertrand this year, last year. He shows up again when we're out there. Is it going to be difficult to deny him playing time?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, we talked about this last time. I mean, we have to be able to figure out what this is going to look like. Marcus, I don't know if you guys talked with Marcus about this, but, we talk about it virtually every day, is how to move the pieces around to get all these guys the opportunity. Now, we know he's going to be a stalwart in special teams, but he can offer more to our defense than that.
Tim O'Malley is up next.
Coach, right here, right? Just following up on Kevin Austin, is that his ability to not only move the chains but make plays after the catch? Is that kind of indicative of what you've seen in camp to date?
Yes, yes. I mean, he's physically healthy for the first time since we've had him here. And, you saw glimpses of that when he got in. I think we can all harken back to the Navy game in San Diego where he caught it and took off. And so, we're going to feature him. He's not just going to be a guy that runs down the field. You're going to see him cutting across the field and obviously opening up the opportunity for him to run and catch.
I know there's not a lot of carries for running backs 4 and 5 on a college football team until the season progresses, but you must like what you've seen from your freshman runners so far.
Yeah, they're pretty good players. And I don't know if you saw it today, but they both have soft hands. Their instincts are outstanding, and they're great kids. Really, really pleased with both of them.
John Bryce is up next.
Brian, you said that you're really close on a quarterback. How about up front on the offensive line beyond Lugg and Patterson? Where are you there? And specifically, what do you like about Cain Madden?
He's tough. He's physical. He makes, look, when you evaluate a guard, you're not evaluating strictly based upon what he does, but what he does within the combination. So he makes our combinations better, whether they're combinations with the tackles or combinations with the center. They're better combinations. So that's thickness in terms of strength at the point of attack, which allows, whoever that guy is, the ability to finish that block off. So sometimes we look at strictly what that guy does individually. It's really what happens off the combination and his ability to control that or push that combination that allows that trail player or that lead player to take over that block. He's really good at it, and he's a veteran. He's been in it. There's 8 to 10 guys. You saw it. We're working 8 to 10 guys in that mixture there that all got a lot of work today. Blake was out, as you know, so Carmody got a lot of work. He's done a really nice job. Tosh is getting a lot of work. I mean, we're working. Joe Alt has been a surprise in a sense. He's been outstanding. I mean, we recruited him. He was 246 pounds. He's up over 300 pounds. He's He's really strong. So we're working all those guys in, so I mentioned at the start, we got 2, and we're going to keep working the rest of those guys. Rocco's coming on. So it's fun to watch all those guys compete.
Patrick Engels next.
Brian, going on one of those 2 guys that you do have on the offensive line, what did you see out of Josh Lugg this summer to make you pretty confident in him, and just how much more, I guess, mobile he is after seemingly getting the back injury behind him?
Yeah, I think the injury behind him is number one. Number two, you saw his body type. I mean, he's reworked himself physically in terms of nutrition, in terms of strength, and he's got a lot of playing time under his belt. So I mean, that's can't be underestimated as well. So strength, conditioning, health, experience, add those up, hard to beat them out.
Tyler James is up next.
Brian, you have a lot of different shapes and sizes along the defensive line. How much do you feel that versatility is going to help you guys defensively?
Yeah, I think versatility is probably the word that I would use, when you talk about what Marcus wants to be. And so Marcus, in terms of the defensive structure, so versatility allows us to play a lot of different players, and you saw that today, right? And, I know Coach Elston's excited about the ability to play guys in those different looks. And so you saw some things today in 3 down and 4 down, and we're still experimenting with some things, but there's a lot of guys that we can work into the game that way. And, again, it's 6 practices in.
Maris Leafow made a nice play today. Where has he come in terms of his development and maybe comfortability in playing more after?
Yeah,
his
I think
experience last year?
emotional control is probably the thing that I would say is number one. He's playing within himself a lot better in terms of, what he's asked to do. The discipline at that position is really crucial, and I think he's shown that. And that's a maturity in terms of playing the game. Maris would tell you that, he played outside the lines a lot, and that was probably one of the things that he knew he had to get better at. And he's stronger, and you see what he looks like. I mean, all those other things are coming together. But he's a versatile player, right? I mean, he can pass rush off the edge. He can cover guys. He can play in the inside. So he can do a lot of things for us.
And then with Cain Madden, is there anything particular you guys like about him on the right side versus the left side, or is that still sort of being sorted out?
He's always played, he's felt more comfortable over there. So I think we kind of went with that more than anything else. I don't know that he couldn't play left guard. We felt like that was a better fit.
Pete Sampson, you're next.
Tariq Bracy at nickel. Are you starting to see the confidence that maybe he flashed earlier in his career come back?
I don't know that he really had confidence early on. I think he just was portraying that confidence. There's a difference, right, with a young kid that's, hey, I got to go do this. I got no choice. There's more confidence. He's playing, he's stronger. I mean, I think the biggest thing is this is the first time that physically he's in a position where I'm confident in him that he's not going to get steamrolled out there. Now, playing inside is totally different than playing the outside. And we weren't going to experiment with him. So we told him, listen, this summer is on you. If you don't come back physically able to do the job, then you're going to stay outside. And he came back and he committed himself. And so he has the confidence because he put in the work this summer to do it.
Do you sort of, is the nickel job his right now, or you not?
No, I'm
there?
not. We're not ready to give him the nickel job. He's still fighting for that nickel job. Remember now, that rover is asked to do a lot. And so this structure of defense would prefer not to put the nickel on the field unless you say, we're going all skill. And we're taking the tight end off the field, and this is just chuck it and that's it. And if that's the case, then we'll match you with all corners.
Austin Burnett is next.
Hey, Coach Kelly, Austin Burnett,
Yes.
ABC 57.
All right.
One last thing about the quarterbacks. What are you looking for more specifically in making your deciding factor into who's going to be your starter this season?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to disperse the football certainly down the field. He's got to have accuracy in making those throws. So we've been looking for the guy that can make those throws vertically. I think everybody in this room who sent me the email about throwing the ball down the field, I've heard you. Certainly there's got to be that ability to get the ball down the field. And we've always felt like the quarterback has got to be, the brains of this operation, getting in run checks, protection, knows how to protect them. And those guys are really good at that. So the deciding factor has just been the ability to get the ball out on time, accurate, and allow this offense to make big plays. Yeah.
Matt Fortune is next.
Hey, Brian. When a player makes a kind of year 1 to year 2 jump that Kyron Williams did last year, what are the signs that are apparent in the offseason months that could happen?
I think they're probably a little bit of acclimatization to Notre Dame, where they have things figured out here socially and academically, where football now becomes all in. Like, they're not distracted. So Kyron was not distracted at all by the academics, by socially what's going on here on a day-to-day basis. So they can really focus in 100% when it's football, it's football. And so then, it becomes, hey, it's just like when I was back in high school. I can let it go. I don't have to worry about all the other distractions.
Is that a little different just because last year's freshman class went through a year unlike any other?
Well, there were certainly distractions last year, right? And I think in a large degree, most of those guys had to show great discipline and had to grow up quickly. This is a very mature football team for having some young players. Their demeanor has been outstanding in the way they handle themselves. So, you never really know until you get out on the field how your football team's going to react. Now, we haven't had adversity at any level other than it's been hot and, we had a little lightning. I mean, come on. But early signs show this team has handled themselves through the summer and through, for the first 6 days, that this is, we're having fun coaching them.
Pete Burton, you're up next.
Coach, I wanted to talk to you about Kyle Hamilton. We've heard you describe, everything he does physically well for years now. Offensively, how would you play call against a guy who's that talented at that position? It's not like you can double team him like you could a D lineman. Like what does he open up for your defense because of what he can do?
Well, he's an eraser. I mean, it's very difficult to. Well, I'll tell you, it's hard to get Mike Mayer the football when we go against him because Kyle Hamilton is, we're bracketing, the inside backer with Kyle Hamilton, and Kyle's got him over the top, and then we've got a backer inside out. Kyle Hamilton is an eraser. So when you have that kind of player that can take a player like a Mike Mayer away, imagine what he can do with others. He's long, he's rangy, he's athletic, can fit the run. You don't get many players of that caliber. And here's the good part about it, right? He is so much more aware of where he is in the big picture now than he was last year. And what I mean by that specifically is that this is a big year for him, and he knows that. And so his focus, his attention to detail, all those little things, and he wants to be a leader on this football team. A lot of that wasn't the most important thing to him. He is now locked into those things this year, and we are the beneficiaries. Notre Dame Football, we are the beneficiaries of that.
Your next question will come from Zoom. Greg Logan, you're up.
Hi, Brian. I write for Newsday based on Long Island where Jack Cohn lives.
All
so
right.
I'd appreciate it if you could indulge a two-part question. First, I'm just wondering, what has surprised you or reassured you about Jack's physical or mental skills that you've seen in the short time you've had to work with him? And second, you talked about this being a mature program, and I've seen you've called him battle tested. How important is the maturity that he brings in terms of leadership and toughness for a place like Notre Dame?
Yeah. I think, some of the things that surprised me in the spring was his arm strength. He's much more athletic than people give him credit for. I think those are the two things that stand out. I knew he was well coached. He comes from a great program. Paul Chris does a great job at Wisconsin. And so we knew what we were getting there. We knew we had a kid that was, smart and tough from that perspective. So I would think that, the arm strength and the ability to run were, a bit more than what we had bargained for, and we're happy for that. And then, coming into, the preseason camp and even this summer, he's been a really good leader. Our guys respect him and have really followed him. And as you know, that's really hard to do when you're only here for a very short period of time as a transfer. So really he's done more than I think a lot of us had even expected. So very pleased with what he's done.
Go back to Patrick Engel.
Through 6 days here, where do you see Rover kind of standing right now? And in particularly, what have you seen of Jack Kaiser at that spot?
I think Jack and Paul and who am I missing? Isaiah. All of them. I know I was missing Isaiah. They all have shown promise at the position, and so I think we even had Leofau out there today. Did you see Marist out there today? I think we had Marist out there today. So, we're looking at a number of different options out at that position because we want to keep that position on the field as much as we can. So I'd say it's very competitive. We think we've got really good players at that position right now, and we'll just let them continue to develop.
Tyler Horka is next.
Hey, Brian, just want to introduce myself first, right here in front.
Oh.
New blue and gold beat writer, so nice to meet you.
Tyler, nice to meet you.
A couple questions, too. I saw you go back and forth with Braden Lenzy a little bit out there today. You talked about the wide receivers being transformative last week. How specifically have you seen him kind of embody that through camp?
Yeah, I mean, he's been part of that definition, right? It's, it's pretty clear, right? I mean, we've needed him, to be that big play kind of receiver. And, if you were there today, you saw him go up and take a football away. And that wasn't part of his, game last year. For whatever reasons, he was injured. We didn't give him enough touches. So we got to get the ball to him. And then he's responded by changes in his body. He's got a whole different physique. He is in the best shape of his life physically, and he's in a good spot mentally. So, again, I think it takes two, right? It takes an offense to recognize that we got to get the ball down the field to him and create opportunities for him, and then a young man that he's got some work to do too, and he did that.
Where do you feel like he's at with the mental side of that? I know you talk a lot about, how physically he's transformed, but mentally, do you feel like he's ready to be everything that you just described?
Yeah, he's so much more mature and locked in. I think guys, it's just like anything else. They get to that point where, I don't know if the alarm clock goes off in their head, and they kind of just figure it, and they go, it's time, He clearly knows it's his time, and he acts with a sense of urgency that he has not acted with before, and I see it every year. So Braden's not any different than other guys that whether it's Javon McKinley or we have this every year where guys just know it's their time to step up and represent, and he's going to be the next guy. He's going to have a great year.
Last question from Eric Hansen.
Absolutely.
One more bonus one from me. I was liking the word transformational when you
You
were
know,
talking
it's
about.
an SAT word. I try to forget a big
That
word
was
every day.
awesome.
But, you know.
Okay, is there anybody on the defensive side that had that kind of summer for you?
Oh, yes. I mean, in terms of,
Yeah, transformational.
well, transformational, define it. Put it in a sentence. Were we at the spelling bee?
My question was transformational.
Okay. You always have transformational questions. That's why you are who you are. Transformational. God, I don't. I can tell you that in terms of their physical, change, body type, Clarence Lewis was huge. Tariq Bracy was huge. Riley Mills. I mean, I could give you probably 10 guys that, like, their numbers and their, body composition and how they transform themselves physically, and now how that's shaping up mentally is really, really big. And in some instances, even Kyle Hamilton, this is the best summer he's had since he's been here. So yeah, I mean, I could push the word to maybe where it's not where I did with the receivers, but Cam Hart was unbelievable this summer. I mean, his point total was over 1,000. And so I would be remiss not to talk about those guys in the same breath as Lindsey and those guys as well. So I'll finish it there that we're pretty excited about this group and the way they trained. Now we've got to get that on the field, and that's football, right? You got to transfer that from the weight room to the football field. But it's a fun group to work with, and it's going to be a tough season. There's great competition, but I like the direction we're heading.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks.